Hello, gorgeous, and welcome to the Women on Top podcast. I'm your host, Valerie Lynn, and with over 15 years of business experience, I became truly passionate about finding ways to support and hear from way more women. And what we know to be true is that women thrive when they are in their favorite position, on top in business, in relationships, in personal growth, and on top in being real and authentic to who the hell they are. So I invite you to sit back and enjoy the Women on Top podcast. Well, welcome back to the podcast, friends. I am so happy that you're here with me today. And I have to be honest right now from the start of this is that this episode comes with a little bit of fire, a little frustration as well, and also just a lot of truth. And so there's just something that's been kind of driving me crazy, which I actually ended up writing an article about and putting it on LinkedIn, which is that women are actually working harder than ever. Women are showing up, leading, taking on more responsibilities. And yet when it comes to actually being promoted, getting visibility, and having our work recognized, we're still falling behind. You probably know this feeling if you've been one of those go-getter women who is always asking to take on extra work or how can I improve in my skills? And you continue to do those things, yet you're not getting the results that you were looking for. And here's the kicker. It's not because you're not capable. It's not because we as women are not capable. It's because the system actually still favors people whose names are being spoken in rooms that they aren't in. So unless our names are being spoken in rooms when we aren't there, it makes it very challenging for us to move up, especially in the work and the corporate world. And even in the entrepreneur world, to be honest, you need somebody else to be shouting your name, to be saying your name in order to get to the places that you want to go. And oftentimes, those people whose names are coming up in those rooms that we're not in, those names are not names of women. Unfortunately, they are still names of men. So today, I want to really dive into this idea about mentorship versus sponsorship, and why both of them matter, and really like why sponsorship is even more critical right now, and what we as women and as leaders can do to shift this. And I think I'll just kind of start with a little bit of a story about a colleague of mine, a senior woman that I deeply respected, who really helped change the trajectory of my own career because she did both. She actually mentored me and she also sponsored me. And hopefully to those listening, you're lucky enough to find somebody like this who does both for you as well. So earlier in my career, I was really hesitant to take on one of the biggest bodies of work that I have led, which was a formal mentorship program at my last organization. I was kind of hesitant and half in, not super passionate about it, really wasn't sure that I was ready, wasn't confident in my skills, and really wasn't sure that people were going to take me seriously. I kind of tend to be, which is funny because if you know me, you think that I'm extroverted, which I am, but I'm actually an introverted extrovert. And so the way that this shows up in the corporate world, maybe you can relate, is that and I also don't like self-promotion. So when you combine those things, and I don't love to self-promote or put myself in the limelight, and I also can be a little more of an introvert, at least at first, until I've learned what's happening, what's going on, what the dynamics are. Oftentimes I stay quiet because I want to soak in what's going on in the room. I want to hear what everyone has to say. And then if I have something to add, I'll add that. But I've worked on that. And so anyway, this kind of came into play here too, because I often was, also a little insecure about what I had to say or maybe what I had to offer. But my colleague who really saw my potential, she basically told me, you have more potential than you realize. Step up and just see what happens. Like, you can totally lead this thing. And I remember feeling a mix of both fear and excitement. Somebody was finally seeing me, which was amazing, but there's a lot of fear in that too of, can I take this on? Can I really do this? Am I going to fail? But she's somebody that I really trusted. And so I ended up stepping up and leading the program. And, really, she kind of pushed me at one point without knowing it. But basically, her and a different colleague ended up both being out for whatever reason on PTO or sick or what have you. And I was the only person that was left for a few days, and I had to manage some of the program aspects. And I basically was kind of forced to step into my leadership at that point. And once I did that and realized I can do this, I realized how right my colleague was. So through all of this, I learned to facilitate, I learned to manage, and I learned to connect with people that I had never before. And I actually really ended up loving this program. Like, I not only love mentorship, like if you ever talk to me, I really believe in the power of mentorship. It's changed my life in so many different ways. And I do believe that corporations who have mentorship thrive differently than others. But that's a conversation for another time. And then there was the other side of this, right? So I'm not only creating a mentorship program, the thing I believe in, and I'm also being mentored by my colleague, but the other side of this that we're talking about is sponsorship. And so this colleague, she didn't just mentor me, she helped advocate for me in rooms I wasn't in. And that is huge. When leadership meetings came up, when presentations were being assigned, when programs were being evaluated, my name was being spoken by her. She was recommending me to show up as the presenter for this program. She was recommending me to talk to a group that needed more information or that was interested. And she was making sure people knew not only that I was the face of this program, but my contributions, and that I was really somebody who built and shaped it and helped lead it. And this is really like the part of the story that kind of hits deep, is just knowing I knew that my name was being mentioned behind closed doors. And that not only gave me visibility, but it gave me this confidence and this trust and this security. And not just with her, and not just maybe with the organization, but with myself. I knew she had my back. I knew that somebody believed in me, even in moments when I doubted myself. And that kind of trust is a different kind of foundation. That is something that changes everything. I don't think I would have gone as far in my last role without her. Absolutely wouldn't have gone as far. And that's why we need both. We need both mentors and sponsors. But right now, sponsorship is the lever that closes the gap for women who are stepping into leadership roles. So let's look at the difference a little more clearly, because a lot of the time, mentorship and sponsorship get a little muddy. Mentorship is really this guidance. It's feedback from somebody else, it's coaching, and it's encouragement. Mentors help you grow and develop skills, and it is super powerful in your career. So again, I'm not saying that we don't need mentorship. I'm saying we need mentorship more than ever, but I'm saying we need sponsorship even more. Sponsorship is leverage. It's advocacy, it's visibility, it's influence. Sponsors help open doors that you can't even see yet, and they speak your name in rooms that you're not in. It is a superpower. Mentorship is like a flashlight that shows you the path. Sponsorship is literally like a hand that pulls you through the doorway. So here's the injustice that drives me just crazy. Women are often mentored relentlessly. We're told to go find a mentor, go have a coffee chat, but we're rarely sponsored. Men are quietly sponsored all the time. And that's not a coincidence. That's just structural inequity. And that inequity compounds over time, slowing women's career progression in ways that can actually feel invisible until it's too late. And I don't want to just say all of this being have you thinking that I am just some crazy feminist over here that hates men. I do not. I actually, some of the most powerful forces in my life are amazing men. And I just want to clarify by saying men have a whole different set of problems. this is a women's podcast, so I'm focusing on the women. And so all of this, all of my heat around this, my passion is actually backed up by studies. Studies show that women get more mentorship than men, but men receive far more sponsorship. And having a sponsor increases your likelihood of a promotion by up to 30%. Even when you have the same skills and experience as everybody else, it increases your likelihood of that promotion. That's huge, by 30%. Also, women of color are often, again, over-mentored and under-sponsored, which compounds these disadvantages early in their careers. Sponsorship is one of the absolute strongest predictors. They can literally correlate of early career advancement. And the gap happens before senior leadership, which is why we need to address it now. So absolutely, mentorship really matters. Like truly, I'm going to do a different podcast on mentorship, but sponsorship is the engine that is moving women forward. And until women have access to equal sponsorship at the same rate as men, we're going to continue to see these gaps widen. So if we zoom out for just a second, this next generation of women, Gen Z, young millennials, are stepping into leadership. They are ambitious, capable, and creative. And they will speak that to you as well, even though there's a lot of people who have different opinions. But a huge number of reports say that they don't have anyone advocating for them in the organization. And I'm not surprised. I've witnessed this as well. We hear people talk badly about the next generation all of the time. But really think about what that does to somebody's confidence. Think about what that does to retention. Think about how it shapes their sense of what's possible. If they don't have anybody believing in them, if they don't have anybody who's willing to speak on their behalf, that creates a whole different set of issues. Ambition alone is not enough when doors remain closed and opportunities are being given to people whose names are being spoken when you're not even in the room. Sponsorship is what changes that. And if we bring this to you differently for a second, like think about this for yourself. Who speaks about you when you're not in the room? Who do you trust to champion your work, your ideas, and your presence? And maybe this is even in your personal life. Who do you know is speaking well behind your back when you're not there? If you don't know, it might be time to identify at least one person who can become your sponsor. And maybe ask yourself, like, what's one action that you can take to connect intentionally with them? Maybe have a conversation with them. Even if you're not in a formal leadership position, think about ways to make it easier for people to advocate for you. And some of that starts with sharing your goals. I'm really bad at this and I'm trying to be better. But the more that we share, hey, this is actually where I think I'm heading. And this takes some gumption. This takes some vulnerability. This takes some willingness to put your neck out there, but share your goals and share some of what you've done and share some of that vision so that people can start to lock arms with you differently. And here's what we can do as women and as allies and as leaders is, again, what I just said, identify your sponsors, who's speaking for you when you're not there, and try to build that relationship if you can. Also, make it easy to be sponsored, which means what I just said, being really clear about who you are, what your goals and ambitions are. We don't have room for being humble here. Ladies, I know you're so humble and you want to be so nice and, I don't want to, I don't want to share about myself. I get it. I'm that person too. But the more that we're clear and we're confident in that, then the more that others can get on board and start to champion us. And then here's another one that I think is really powerful. Sponsor other women. You do not need a fancy title. I have tried to do this as much as I can. Speak someone's name in a meeting. Highlight their work. Share something great that they did that you thought was awesome. It doesn't have to be like sponsorship doesn't have to be this big formal thing. I know the word sounds super formal, but it's not. It's actually much simpler than we make it. These small actions really have huge ripple effects. And then we have to trust our sponsors. We have to trust those people that we know are out there advocating for us. Let it shape your confidence when you do know that that's happening. Start to let some of the good in a little bit and believe that your presence matters. And then finally, you can mentor and sponsor. Guidance really does shape skill, and advocacy shapes trajectory. Both together is how we change careers and how we change the system itself. So if you don't have a mentor, I would still encourage you to go get some mentorship, to find somebody who informally or formally, I've had both, can mentor you. And then maybe through that, they can sponsor you, but also flip that script. Who can you mentor? Who can you sponsor? So I just want to give you the takeaway, which is that I wouldn't be where I am without the colleague. And I've had this in a couple different ways, but in regards to that woman that I shared with you, I wouldn't be where I'm at without that colleague who did both, who mentored me and who sponsored me, who was patient and shared guidance and believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, and then who spoke positively about me when I wasn't there. Mentorship truly does matter, but sponsorship matters more than we often talk about, especially for this next generation. And the next generation of women will only rise if we are intentionally advocating for them, not being fearful or scared or in competition mode, but truly just doing it from a place that we all need to rise together. So my challenge for you is, if you are a woman who's stepping into some sort of leadership, seek both mentors and sponsors. Truly, it will matter. If you're in a position to lift another woman right now, speak her name in rooms she's not in. Please advocate for her, champion her, and don't wait for her to ask. You don't need to wait for permission to talk about somebody else and all the amazing things that they do. These are the doors and the changes and the ways that we can shape how our futures look. And we get to do this together. So thank you so much for listening, friends. If this episode resonated, I'd like you to think about one woman in your life that you can maybe reach out to this week, somebody who's maybe done something really great for you, and just share with her what she's done. Just share something nice. Say thank you. Thank you for somehow lifting me up. Thank you for just being positive. Thank you for being in my corner. Because ultimately, we all get to win. And again, I just want to say thank you, because you listening to this is you supporting other women. So here's to women supporting women and us challenging the old rules and shaping the world for what we want it to be and for this next generation. I'm cheering for you always. We've got this, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning into the show today. And before you go, I just have one quick favor to ask of you. There is a really simple way that you can help support me and help support this show, and that is to hit that follow button on whatever app you're listening to the show on. I'm trying really hard to level up the content and deliver unique value and amazing guests, and just hitting that follow button is the magic that will help continue to empower that. And remember that the world deserves to hear your voice and your stories, and you deserve a place at the top.